Hi, I'm Mr. New Jersey, and this is a short video to warn you that New Jersey will likely face a government shutdown over the next few days. Saturday, June 30th, is the deadline for the state budget. The legislature and Governor Murphy must agree on a budget by midnight tomorrow, or the state will enter a shutdown until a budget is passed. You may be surprised that the legislature and governor are not able to agree on a budget since they're all Democrats, but they are in fact disagreeing and are currently roadblocked. At this point, the two sides have roughly agreed on what programs to spend on, so that's not really the issue. The bigger issue now is deciding which taxes to raise to fund the programs. Governor Murphy's position is that he wants to increase revenue for the state in the long term. So he wants to raise the tax on incomes over $1 million, also known as the millionaire's tax. And he wants to increase the sales tax gradually from about 6.5% to 7%. The sales tax had previously been 7%, but it was lowered during Chris Christie's tenure in a deal with the legislature. Murphy says that the millionaire's tax increase is okay because millionaires haven't been paying their fair share of taxes, and he says the sales tax increase won't be that big of a deal because it's a small increase in a big tax that most New Jerseyans won't notice too much, and because it was recently 7% anyway. The position of legislative leaders is that they don't want to overtax New Jersey residents and force residents out of the state. So instead of the personal taxes Murphy proposes, they've proposed a 2-year increase in the corporate business tax. These legislators, led by Senate President Steve Sweeney and Assembly Speaker Craig Coughlin, say that Murphy's plan raises taxes too much for residents to handle, especially after Congress reduced the state and local income tax deduction last winter. By contrast, the legislators believe that the corporate tax increase they propose would not affect New Jerseyans as much because corporations just got a tax cut under the federal government anyway, so it more or less evens out for them. Murphy has criticized the legislature's plan both by saying that it does not raise taxes enough to fund the state government and would result in a large deficit, and by saying that because the tax increase the legislature proposes is temporary rather than permanent, it won't serve as a sustainable revenue source for the state in the future. In recent days during the negotiations, the governor and legislative leaders each proposed compromises, and each side rejected the other's compromise. It's also worth noting that the legislature went ahead and passed its own version of the budget recently, which is still sitting on Murphy's desk unsigned. Remember in all of this that New Jersey's governor is allowed to line item veto individual items out of the budget. So I have heard speculation that one way this could play out is if Governor Murphy doesn't feel that the legislature offers up sustainable revenue sources, he could veto individual items out of the budget to bring the deficit down. Though personally, I think that's unlikely because Governor Murphy cares a lot about the spending programs in the budget, so I think it's more likely that he and the legislature will come to a compromise position about which taxes to raise 1 to several days into the shutdown. Don't worry though. I recently heard Assembly Majority Leader Lou Greenwald speak, and he assured us that even if there is a shutdown, you won't see the Murphy family on Island Beach State Park like we saw Chris Christie there during the shutdown last year. The one last thing I want to mention before signing off is the position of legislative Republicans. So far, when I've talked about legislative leaders and the, quote, legislature's plan, unquote, I've mostly been referring to legislative Democrats since they are the majority party. But there are still Republicans in the legislature as the minority party, and their position is essentially that they don't want to raise any taxes, and they would rather spend less as a way to reduce the deficit. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be notified when I release new videos. I'd also love to hear your thoughts on the budget situation and how it should resolve, so please write them down in the comments. If you had plans to visit state parks over the next few days, you may want to reschedule them since they will not be open during a shutdown. Maybe you can stay home and binge my videos. Have a nice day, and I'll see you next time.